Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our special workshop with a special guest, Ms. Shelley Brunswick, CEO of Space Foundation. Before calling her to the podium, I would like to call Professor Ahmed Al-Shamma, who is representing Professor Hamid, to give the opening words. Please, Professor Ahmed. Okay, Assalamu alaikum, sabah al-khair, good morning, everybody. Thank you for the invitation, Professor Elias, colleagues, and good morning, Ms. Shelley. Thank you very much indeed for coming, and we're looking forward to your presentation, and thank you very much indeed for the Consulate General from the US Embassy in the UAE. It's a great honor to be here with you. And I'm delighted to present the Chancellor of the University, Prof. Hamid, because he sent his apologies due to further commitment. So what I thought in this generic presentation, just in case if you don't know about our university, where we are in light of the other universities in the UAE, and then we'll highlight some of the successes what we have in the university. So what you see here is the university is the city university, and this is designed, constructed, and supported by His Highness the President of the university, as well as he is the ruler of the Sharjah, Hafadallah wa Ra'ah. So without him, without the support, you're not seeing this university city as it stands today. It's absolutely fantastic vision, fantastic direction, strategy, and that hopefully a part of the legacy going to stay in the Sharjah and the UAE for years and years to come. So the whole area is about 7.5 kilometers squared, and where we are at the university, as you can see here, different section, 14 colleges here, and it's all occupy about 1.4 kilometers squared. So including the science, the engineering, computer informatics, the law, the arts, and one of the uniqueness what we have here in the university is the medical campus. So you have all the medical related disciplines from the medicine or from the dentistry, from the health science, and so on and so forth, as well as the technical, as well as the art and humanities and related discipline. So you can see the diversity and what the beauty of the culture here, what we're trying to establish. These days, the multidisciplinary is very vital. So it's a lot of our programs, there is a huge synergies between the different disciplines, different colleges, and that coming up from the Ministry of Education to the university requirement, to the college requirement, as well as the college, the program requirement. So what happened is that will enrich the student experience, and hopefully by the time they graduate, hopefully the jobs is there. And the timing is really right now. The pandemic hopefully is easing off. The world is opening, and hopefully that the strategy of the university will pay off by more and more, inshallah, students will be graduating on time, as well as finding the right job to support in terms of the capacity building for the nation, as well as for the country and beyond. So here, as you can see here, there are a lot of the colleges here. You got College of Computer Informatics, of Engineering, Science, and so on and so forth. And then here you got all the facilities to horizontally and vertically to support the disciplines in these colleges. But on the top of it, you'll find the research institutes. So research, RISE is the Research Institute for Science and Engineering. So this will cover the 3 colleges under this banner here. Then you got the Research Institute for Medical and Health Science. So all the medical, as I said, this is a cluster under the Research Institute. And then you move on to the Research Institute for Humanities, and this is the cluster of the colleges. And this is the academy, and this is where you are here. And I just hope really you have a glance visit about the facilities and the support His Highness and the Chancellor, as well as the university, to create a really state-of-the-art, if you like, facilities in our academy here. And I'm sure I don't want to take the thunder from Prof. Elias, because he will tell you a lot about it. And I'm sure what you've seen so far, I think is absolutely one of the wonders what we see, and no any other university could compete with such facilities. The university have agenda, and a part of the strategy is we call it a spirit strategy. The spirit is dealing, the bylaws is like any other universities. You have a strategy, and the strategy meeting the teaching and learning, meeting research innovation, as well as the community and university services. So the spirit stands for the student part, people, that including everybody as a family of the university, the innovation side, the research, the community, as well as of the teaching and learning. The university currently have more than 17,000 students, is making it the largest university in the UAE, and about 14 colleges in the university. And some of the program are expanding based on the demand and the market needs, as well as as I said, is the how from the capacity building, what they need for industry, the government sections, and so on and so forth. You can see here the direction of the student to growth from the 2016 to date, and you can see that is the trajectory, as I said, just above 17,000 students. This is really interesting, the graph. It's just like any other university. We live by the ranking, we live by credibility, we live by the impact of our credential in terms of as an academic institution, what's our input to the community. And in the top of it, obviously, our research output. So you can see from the journey where we were and where we're heading. And we feel proud at the university, it's just like our benchmark, other university in the land. We competing with the top universities like Khalifa universities, US university, UAE university, and I'm sure the same thing, Ms. Shelley, like in Colorado, you got great universities in the US, 100 university, they compete. And what we're trying to do, what the niche thing and unique about our degrees. So you see the space here, you see the SAASST here, the research is one of the niche unique activities, the multidisciplinary. When the extracurricular, His Highness, the President of the university, always saying, student, when they're going to graduate, they can compete with the discipline, but they can compete easily. Why this company or this department or this student graduating from the University of Sharjah stand above the crowd? Because the extracurricular, and that extracurricular, the research embedded, the hybrid teaching, the inspirational, the entrepreneurial activities, the innovation, and I'm sure you're going to touch a lot of that in your discussion, in your presentation. So that empowering the knowledge, the expertise of our students, when they graduate, they can stand on their feet, hit the ground running. So this is a testament to the university overall, the university family, from the management, faculty, staff, to reach to that particular point where we can compete with the other universities. And then, obviously, that we feel proud, we reach about 440 now worldwide, as per the Times Higher ranking, which is the UK institution ranking all the universities around the world. So you can see here, every single person in the university contribute to that success, but in the top of it, without the support of the Chancellor, the senior management, and most importantly, His Highness, Hafadhallah Wara'a, we will never be in that position. So without further ado, obviously, the other activities to cement all the experience and the expertise, the impact of our student, our faculty, we produce in research, we produce in teaching, we produce in all this material, how the impact in terms of transferring that knowledge into the community. So His Highness establishing Sharjah Oasis for Technology and Innovation. And this is just started, and obviously transferring the knowledge, empowering the graduate, hopefully to work in industry in the Sharjah Emirates. This is the brainchild of the Chancellor to establish the space program. And as I said, I'm sure Prof. Ilyas, Prof. Mashur will talk a lot about it during your visit, and they will feel proud to share that. So without further ado, welcome to our university. It's a pleasure to see you. And I just hope, hopefully through your discussions today, with the support of the Chancellor, the US Embassy, as well as your institution, hopefully find foundation for research foundation, research collaboration, joint supervision, visit to Colorado. I'm sure our students will be thrilled and delighted, and hopefully that will be open the door, because internationalization is a part of our important part of our agenda. So thank you very much indeed. I wish you all the very best and enjoy your visit. And thank you for the invitation, Prof. Elias. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Ahmed. Thank you for the suggestion to visit Colorado. Summertime, not winter time. Winter time is very, very cold. Yes. Okay, so thank you very much. Let me present Ms. Shelley Brunswick. So let me read from my paper, just to present her to for all of us to know who is she. She is the CEO of Space Foundation, and she brings a broad perspective and division of the global space ecosystem from a very distinguished career as a space acquisition and program management leader, and also a congressional liaison for the U.S. Air Force for current role, including overseeing Center for Innovation and Education Symposium 365 and also Global Alliance. Brunswick speaks at organizations like us and events around the globe to advance space technology innovation, partnership, and collaboration. She chairs the Women in Our Space, WIA Foundation, chairs space entrepreneurship at Todd Ayres, and hosts the Women Global gathering annually at Space Symposium. In addition, she is one of only 35 women worldwide to be selected by the United Nations as a mentor for its Space for Women program, and is a World Business Angels Investment Forum WBAF Senator for the United States of America. She is a founding advisory board member for NYU SPS Human Capital Analytics and Technology Program, as well as founding advisory board member for Women Tech Network. She sits on the board of directors for Manufacture Edge and the Colorado Springs Chamber and EDC. So we welcome Ms. Shelley Brunswick to our academy, and hopefully we're going to benefit from her talk. So please, Ms. Shelley.
Well, thank you so much for the very kind invitation, and I'm honored to be joining you today. Thank you. Thank you. It's exciting to be here and talking about one of my favorite subjects, and it sounds like it's one of your favorite subjects, space, and how it all relates to us and how we can all be part of that. So thank you so much. I'm honored to be joining. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Space Foundation, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what is Space Foundation, what do we do, why space is so important, what it provides to the ecosystem, and what are some opportunities for moving forward so that all citizens on planet Earth can be part of that space ecosystem. Oh, there we go. There we go. So at Space Foundation, we believe that advocating for innovation betters life on Earth. And I'm going to talk a lot about how space technology over the last 60 years has implemented throughout our daily lives, and that without it, our lives as we know them would not exist. So first of all, let me show you a little video about what Space Foundation believes in all the space technology, because you're thinking you're here, I'm going to be here to talk about space, and I'm going to talk about Earth. So what was shared in that video, that's our Space Foundation mission video. And as you could see from that, we call that the global space ecosystem. So as you're seeing throughout Expo and throughout the world, you're seeing about the return to the moon and then on to Mars and beyond. But we really want to pull that back and say, how does space better our lives every day? How do we bring that technology back to Earth? So the Space Foundation, you discussed it a little bit. We have three main divisions, and that is our Symposium 365. So for more than 37 years, we've been bringing the global space community together in Colorado to talk about policies, commercialization, international, military, civil space. We also, due to COVID, we've gone virtual. So we have a program called 365 that now operates 365 days a year. It's on demand. And for any of the students that are interested, I'd be happy to provide you a registration to that. And you're welcome to look at any of our material, and we'll share that as well so that we can start that partnership and collaboration. We also, this is where our research and analysis department is, and we put out a product called the Space Report. It's a quarterly PDF, but we also have a 15-year database that we can partner with universities on, and that can be very beneficial for research and analysis and for startup companies that need to do market analysis for space. Our Global Alliance division, that is our partnership division. So that's part of why I'm here today. We believe at Space Foundation that we're better together. So we have government affairs is under this division. So both US government affairs as well as international government affairs with other countries and communities and the UN. And then how do we work together to partner with programs to create access and opportunity? And then our third division, which is the division I'll mainly talk about today, is our Center for Innovation and Education. And that's about creating a lifelong learning platform so that all citizens can find their way into the space ecosystem. So that could be entrepreneurs, teachers, business leaders, students. How does everyone come into the space ecosystem? So before we get too far ahead of ourselves, what is the space ecosystem? How do we define that? So the Space Foundation, our R&A team, said for 2020, the global space economy was $447 billion. And in the US, 80% of that is commercial, which means it's products and services, it's jobs, it's innovation, it's entrepreneurship. And right now, there are more than 85 countries that are operating in space. There are countries that want to operate in space, and there are countries that are going to utilize space technology. In essence, that's every country and every citizen on planet Earth is going to be using space technology in their daily lives. Oh, and I should probably highlight the best part of that global space economy is although in 2020 it was $447 billion, by 2030, the estimate is that it will grow to over $1 trillion. And by 2040, it will be over $3 trillion. So you're looking at exponential growth in the space ecosystem. So this is an exciting place to be if you want to be an entrepreneur or a researcher or a university, because this is where massive expansion is going to happen. So where is that expansion going to take place? So we know about the Hope probe. We have all kinds of exciting things going to the moon and Mars, but really space technology is already here and things that we may not realize, like artificial intelligence and robotics and data analytics and miniaturization of products, manufacturing, medical, creature comforts. So space is already part of all the emerging technologies we're already benefiting from every day. So for individuals who may not realize it, you're already part of the space economy. And I know I'm in a classroom full of professors, so I know you want to check my work. So I have provided 2 sources for you today, so I hope I get credit for that. And those 2 sources are, you can go to the NASA Technology Transfer Office or the European Space Agency. Both of them have thousands of patents from the space programs that are waiting to be commercialized in all those areas I highlighted: agriculture, energy, telecommunications, healthcare. So this is a great resource. And as a partner with NASA, the UAE has signed the Artemis Accords. You're partners with ESA. You're eligible to apply for those patents for commercialization. And what are some of those technologies we're all using every day? Well, we all are connected to our cell phone, and our cell phones have several types of space technology. So every individual on planet Earth that is using a cell phone is using space technology. We're also looking at cordless power tools, medical things such as the cochlear implant or cataract surgery. Athletes are wearing clothing and athletic shoes that are from the space technology. You're thinking about firefighters. Fire suppression clothing has all come from space technology. Formulated food, weather. So we think about the weather, we want to understand it, but we really want our pilots to understand it when we get on an airplane or when a bad storm is coming. Do we need to evacuate our homes? Do we need to bring ships into port if there's going to be bad weather? All of that is coming from space technology. So here's a little video that shares what space technology has provided to us over the last 50 years. So again, those patents are waiting for individuals to commercialize. And you saw things that most people don't think about, like exercise machines and transportation. And that is permeated throughout the world. Everyone is benefiting from that space technology that's been commercialized. Now, what we're looking at, the other side that has changed over the last 50 years, we think about 50 years ago, it was mainly two countries that were operating in space, primarily white males, government employees, military or civil. Now that has changed dramatically to it's global. More than 85 countries are operating in space. More countries want to participate in space. So it's now global. I see men and women in this room. So gender-wise, it's diversity, but it's also skill set-wise. When we think back 50 years ago, we think about the STEM career, science, technology, engineering, and math. And we still need those disciplines, but we also need entrepreneurs and project managers and business leaders and manufacturing segments and technicians. So now the opportunity has grown that many individuals can now participate in the space ecosystem in great paying jobs and opportunities from high school graduates to PhDs. So the opportunity for everyone to be part of this community has grown as well. So what I'm going to do is, before I finish, I did want to talk about just a couple other things. The other thing I'll highlight is we all have to become lifelong learners. That's one of the things that has changed as well from 50 years ago. 50 years ago, you got a degree, you did that career, and that may have been the only career you did. But now all that technology, those technologies that you saw with artificial intelligence and robotics, those are going to continue to come online rapidly. So all of us will have to continue to be reskilled and upskilled as technology changes our jobs. Many jobs will go away due to technology, and new jobs are going to come online. So one new skill I learned during COVID, and many of you may have as well, is I had always done my presentations in person. And then when COVID happened, I had to start doing presentations over Zoom. So yes, I see many of you shaking and smiling. So that very first meeting on Zoom, I was the person who did not mute myself. So a little lesson learned. I now understand, I have headphones, I have lights. So I am a lifelong learner because as technology comes on board, it's going to change how I do my job as well. And you all shared with me as well, you're doing many things virtually now. And that technology, Zoom technology, is based on space technology. The Space Foundation inducts space technology that transforms our lives here on Earth through our Space Technology Hall of Fame. And during COVID 2020, we inducted 3 technologies into our Space Technology Hall of Fame that allowed COVID to be different than the pandemic of 1918. Not necessarily better, but different. And those technologies were telehealth. Individuals could now talk to their doctors virtually. So telehealth anywhere. Telecommunications, we were all doing Zoom and activities, and teleconferencing. Those 3 technologies are from the space industry, and that transformed our lives here on Earth, but it especially transformed our lives during COVID. So what I'd like to do now is, I know we're going to have some Q&A, we're going to have a panel. So I just want to say thank you again so much for inviting me. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about space, and I'm happy to go on, but I'd rather do that with some of my great colleagues in a panel discussion. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Shelley, for this very nice presentation. Before I go to the next programs, I would like to thank Ms. Leila from the U.S. Consulate. I believe we have been collaborating with the U.S. Consulate in Dubai since more than maybe since 2016. So we thank her for that, and hopefully we can continue still on this collaboration for future programs and so on. So we go to our next program, which is a group of panelists, and would like to go beyond what Ms. Shelley said to talk about space connection, because sometimes people say that what is the use of space? Why do we need it? Should we spend these billions of dollars to send people up there, to send rockets up there, to send to visit the borders of the solar system? So what will we benefit? I believe she did cover some of it. So I'm going to expand on it. I would like to call Ms. Shelley. So please, you'll be the first to be called to be on the panel. Professor Mashhour, inshallah. And I will call some surprise people. I'm going to ask Dr. Antonios to come and sit besides Professor Mashhour. And also I would like to call Mr. Marwan Shweki. So please, yeah, why not? No, you call. I will ask you a question. So this should be our group of panelists, and hopefully, so you will benefit from them, from the discussion. Let me just ask Shelley. I believe you heard about what Prince William said about William Shatner and going to space. Instead of spending these billions up there, we can spend it here on Earth. So what can you say about it?
Well, wonderful. I think Prince William highlighted what many citizens think, that is, why are we going to space instead of investing here on Earth? And in my opinion, that we don't have to make a choice. As we go to space, we solve the challenges here on Earth. So when we think about going to Mars, we have to be sustainable. We have to create new energy and energy storage solutions. We have to create new ways of growing food, of recycling water, of managing our air and resources. We need those same skills and technologies here on Earth. So we need new energy and energy storage here on Earth. We need new ways of growing and manufacturing here on Earth, agriculture. So we can learn by pursuing space to solve many of the challenges we face here on Earth. So we can partner together. And you saw from the video from NASA that many of the technologies benefit us here on Earth. GPS provides precision agriculture, which can increase crop yield by 10%. You can use it to better mitigate pests and better manage your water. So space is already benefiting us in food security, and it can benefit us in many other ways.
Yeah, that's actually very awesome. poor people, they need food, they need life. Why you are spending so much money to space and to such technologies at the time that those people need this money? Okay, the answer is what you have said. By space technologies, we are igniting new technologies to help get rid of such pandemics, to help people, to help agriculture, to manage everything on the global.
You talk in your presentation, Ms. Shelley, about STEM education. I believe it is one very important aspect for space exploration. You also mentioned that some jobs are evaporating, and we need to think about the future in terms of job perspectives and so on. So what can you advise our research assistant or student here about future jobs markets?
And jobs will change. There are some people that are concerned, will jobs go away? Yes, some jobs will go away. Automation will take place. Will we still upskill the workforce? Some jobs will change. As I said, I had to learn how to do skill, but I also think about the car mechanic. 20 years ago, you took your car to the mechanic and they looked and they figured out what was wrong. Now you take your car to the mechanic plugs it into a computer, and the car tells the computer what's wrong with it, and the mechanic fixes it. So the mechanic's job did not go away. It just changed because of how technology is now coming into our cars more with automation and eventually, driverless vehicles and so on. So some technology is just going to change. And as you said, we need the STEM profession, but we also need business leaders and entrepreneurs to fill those jobs as well. I had the honor of doing a presentation yesterday, and I had a young gentleman come up to me and say, "You said other careers can be part of the space economy. I have a finance degree. Can I be part of the space economy?" And I said, "Well, absolutely. At the Space Foundation, we have a finance department. We have a chief financial officer. We need finance people at the Space Foundation." I anticipate you all have a budget and finance team at the university. So now, where before we may have not seen all those skills as highly needed in the space industry, now there are many opportunities for finance and marketing and communication and media and others. So now the opportunity is more open to all skills, all individuals to join us.
Yeah.
I add something. If you remember, some of you, of course, 1990, tens of thousands of internet campaigns opened right the world. But when they opened their shops, they didn't build the new shops. They just used the shops existed at that time. And when immediately closed their businesses, they didn't destroy the shops. Same should be for something else. So this is what can happen in space, new jobs.
Mr. Marwan, let me follow on what the planetarium unit is doing, and we have Mr. Amr, Mr. Mohammed Hani, Ms. Fatima working as a scientific guides. You have been receiving thousands of students. So how do you push them to love space, to explore space instead of other measures?
Only less than 50 minutes ago, we had about 60 students of 10, grade 10. I hope they left now. Actually, when they finished, they asked many questions about the universe and about space in particular, and more particular about James Webb Telescope. That is now, in preparation for launch months. So they are very, very actually interested. Very interested in space, and that's how we usually attract them to the planetarium, but in SAASST in general. So inside, from inner, they have the passion to be astronauts or astronomers or scientists in general. So they just need that very small push to come with the school or with their parents to be inside SAASST and the space exhibitions upstairs and in particular. So actually, we don't do that much effort to bring people to the planetarium or to the space exhibitions. They come by themselves because that is inside everyone, inside you as well. This is why you are here, and this is why now the hundreds of tens of people now listening to us or seeing us right now. So of course we have programs for marketing from the school, and also maybe more attractive the workshop that we do for the students that we engage them into the work directly in space. So, thank my colleagues here, Ahmed, Fatima, and Amr.
For Professor Mashhour and Dr. Ton, they are our two faculty members from the Applied Physics and Astronomy department. They meet physics students, they meet engineering students, and I would like to ask them, how do they invite them to space majors? How do they invite them to love what you do? Because if you are a mechanical engineering, so you may have a minor in aerospace engineering, or if you are maybe a physics student, you may have a minor, maybe something related to what we do. So how can you invite them to these fields?
I think we don't have to do much. Because space is already promoted by the UN, quite a lot with the UN space agency, with the Mars mission, mission, upcoming Russian to the moon, the mission that was announced a couple of days ago. So, likely for us, we don't have to do much. But on the other hand, space is something that is always inspiring to the young students. So they are familiar with the night sky, and in this case, the culture here, the local culture helps a lot because students here, I mean, the fact that we are based on the lunar calendar makes you a little bit more familiar with the night sky with respect to our Western civilization. That we look at the night sky and we are not as inspired as here. So this inspiration is comes a little bit intrinsic in these countries here, and we promote the background, the infrastructure, the tools that you need to study the space. If this is in terms of physics, to understand the laws of mechanics that you can travel in the moon. Actually, you have to solve. It sounds as simple to solve the Newtonian equation to go to the moon, and it is as simple, but you need to add a lot of small perturbations there. But it's not only that. You need to understand the mathematical background behind that. You need to understand the computers that you need in order to solve these equations, the mathematical techniques, the mathematical tools. And nowadays, that was astronomy like last decade, but nowadays we have astronomy that involves chemistry, biology, life sciences, and so on. So all these are somehow provided in very tiny bits here and there in this university and many universities. So you have the inventory that you need to go into space. What you need more is not the inventory, because this one is provided in training. The push from government and from the leadership to do that.
And also from parents, because sometimes student decision for a major is overseen by his parents. That's why, so you need also to educate the parents. Please.
I think it's a small story. It's a normal we're here. So the media is one of the most important sources for our new generation. I remember when I was a child, it was in 1979. We haven't had electricity in our village at that time. So I knew that the sky by heart, all stars and the movement of stars, I know all these things. But for the first time, I need something is gone to build on Earth. It's called Skylab. And even the people in the village were frightened. Small village, very frightened. After 5 days, so this accident actually inspired me to forward this field. I was 9 years old at the time, but now I am exactly in the middle of the field in astrophysics. So this, the media shows that all these things, the planetarium, just one visit from a child to the planetarium could make him a real scientist in this field.
Ms. Shelley, about if you can tell us something about Symposium 365. So, what is its program? So, how do you do it for the whole year?
Oh, the 365.
Yeah.
So our Symposium 365 program, so when COVID happened, we only did conferences in person. And if you did not attend in person or see the session in person, you missed it.
Yes.
Obviously, when COVID happened, you reevaluated. So again, like everyone else, we reevaluate your business case. And we decided that we would create Symposium 365. We also made our in-person symposium a hybrid. So you could come in person or attend virtually, and you could watch.
It's like this one. It's
Yes.
now.
Yes,
That's
you
right.
could watch afterwards. So 365 is now on demand. So you just have a registration code. You can go in. You can see all the content that's already in there that's stored. And when the new events come out, you can then watch them in real time and provide questions. So it's the same, and I'll be happy to send you a code to that. We'd love for you to check out our Symposium 365.
Sure.
So do you have every day, that means it's like, you have every day and something like a symposium or an event?
We do not have an event every day. We call it 365 because that way it's on demand, available 365 days a year. Now it's convenient to all time zones, geography of the world, and now it's you know, before when it's all on one time zone. So we've all become, COVID has allowed us to actually be more connected because now we're virtual, we're on all different time zones. We can connect more readily. In the last year with COVID, I have done more outreach internationally than I did before COVID when I was traveling. I came twice, November 2019 and then February 2020, right before COVID. And I've had more outreach now with COVID because we've all realized that that's our new way to collaborate. So the norm has changed, and we'll see what happens as COVID, you know, goes away or whatever the next stage is. But do we continue this way? Do people go back to the office? Do they continue to telework? We'll kind of see how work will continue to evolve, how people continue to evolve. But what I'm most grateful for is that I'm able to connect now more internationally and partner with you and find new ways to bring space to the global space community.
Thanks to this technology, by the way. Mr. Ross, one also mentioned that internet cafes in mid-90s. I was at the master at the time. My first computer, it wasn't laptops at that time. The hard disk laptop was 50 megabytes. Okay, 50 megabytes. Now it's smaller than the flash memory you have in your pocket. From 1995 up to 2020, just only 5 years, very big scale on technologies and internet communications. So yesterday I was watching one of the videos about the whole now the 60 satellites of the SpaceX.
Starlink.
Like this long trail in the sky. Amazing. And so it's really very fast, very high scale from the.
This is exactly what we discussed. The students, they discussed these things an hour ago, how to maintain GEMS. Well, it is about 1.5 million kilometers. So this is unlike the space telescope, which is somehow little. That one is very far. So one of the challenges that we discussed is the technology. So So this is what makes the lifespan for GEMS less than the Hubble space, because how to go there and to replace the new machines and to communicate. It's like Voyager 1 and 2, for example. Very limited lifespan. Very important for the system to know, to understand, to think about.
You mentioned, Ms. Shelley, in your one of the slide that by 2040, so space economy will be about $3 or $4 trillion. With what we see around, so the UAE is a very young emergent space entity now. So it is spending a lot of money in some space program. You heard about the Venus program, the Astro program, and so on. So do you think that these $3 or $4 trillion will be over all the world or only specific part of the world? And how can we enhance this international collaboration so that everyone gets benefit of it, not only some specific countries?
So the $447 billion in 2020 was the global. So that $3 to $4 trillion in 2040 is global. The highlight again, though, is 80% is commercial. So the investment from the UAE is not in that 80%. It's in the small 20%. And NASA and every other agency. So what's going to happen is, as commercialization grows and entrepreneurship and taking technology and commercializing it, that part of the pie grows. The government investment piece, I call it investment. That's what it is.
Yeah.
The government is investing in that technology. That piece of the pie though becomes smaller, so it will become less and less. So you can think about it. Think about GPS, the global positioning system. We all use it every day. It's on your phone. It's in your car. Your food got here by GPS. Precision agriculture, transportation. So it's all coming here because of GPS technology. So the U.S. government invested in GPS technology. It was primarily for the government use first. It then became commercialized. It's now unlocked over $1 billion just in the U.S. alone in economic opportunities. So when you think about it, think about Careem. How many of you use Careem or Uber or Airbnb? All of those technologies are only available because of GPS and space technology. So the investment that the UAE is making today in these missions is very important. But what we cannot quantify right now is what will we learn from your research, that some entrepreneur, like that, you know, 50 years ago, we never thought we could commercialize GPS. Some entrepreneur will now figure out how to commercialize what we're doing, the UAE is doing in that investment in space. It's an investment. And then we're going to create new technology to learn from that. Medical is a major area of investment. To live on the moon and Mars, you had Scott Kelly here a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Did he talk about the medical challenges of living in space and the microgravity environment? Women develop osteoporosis faster, men have eye problems, you're swelling, you know. So we're not designed to live in the microgravity environment. We're in radiation because we're outside the Earth's atmosphere. So you have aging and cancer can develop. So now as we, as medical scientists, think about how do we solve that so we can go on to the moon and Mars, because the UAE wants a Mars colony. We have to figure out how do we allow human beings to live on Mars. All those medical breakthroughs to live on Mars will help us here on Earth. Women develop osteoporosis on Earth, men have eye problems on Earth. We have aging problems, cancer problems. So think about how do we solve for the challenge of living on Mars. We're going to create new ways to better our life here on Earth. So I can't predict what those technologies will be, but it will be amazing. And it'll allow us to have different types of quality of life. I think Prince William's comment about the billionaires is one comment, but I do want to share with you. It was the U.S. government that created the policy that allowed for commercialization of oil in 2004. So governments, the UAE government controls the direction of its citizens. So when the U.S. created the commercial crew opportunity in 2004 and provided seed funding, it allowed Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk to create launch vehicles. But the part that Prince William did not highlight was by commercializing those products and getting the government out of that, it lowered the cost of launch. And it lowered the cost of launch to now allow you to launch a CubeSat. That was something universities could never afford to do before because it was too expensive. So when entrepreneurs are allowed to innovate, they can lower the cost to access. And now by those commercial entrepreneurs creating launch vehicles, all of us now have access to manufacturing space. I know a woman who has manufacturing space for a lens replacement for an eye disease. So we can manufacture in space, we can now do research in space, universities can now launch in space. So it's now become more feasible for the rest of us to have access. So I share with you that entrepreneurs are creating more opportunities for us to participate in that space ecosystem.
Space is less expensive. So let me open the floor for our special attendees to ask questions to the panel. So please feel free. Please, Aisha. Any other comment or question, please? Please, Shelley.
But it's still that's really important. So as you get more, you become the CEO, and no matter where you are, even in your own career, leadership development is very important because leaders set the vision. Remember Elon Musk, his company almost went bankrupt. SpaceX almost went bankrupt trying to create a reusable launch vehicle. People told him that's not possible. That's physically not possible to do a reusable launch vehicle. But they made it happen. So for a leader to have a clear vision and be able to articulate that vision to their team as well as outside the world is really important. So I share that. It's also about having courage. You know, courage to challenge the status quo. Imagine if Elon Musk, you know, everyone said you cannot have reusability or launch, you cannot recycle those capsules. That's what lowered the cost. But he had the courage to challenge that. So you have to have courage, you have to have a clear vision. Obviously, as we all talk today, it's about collaborating with partners, both locally, nationally, internationally, legislature, you know, getting the right legislation to help you. It's about good communications. Can we partner and talk with each other? So I share with you that, and it's about being creative. You know, during COVID, we all had to pivot and think of new ways to engage with customers and communities. So as we think about space and space science and entrepreneurship, don't forget the important aspect of leadership, because leaders can set the vision and they can inspire others to join your team. So at Space Foundation, I haven't shared about our programs, but we have educational programs. And we just hired a new vice president of education. And she had an opportunity to go be a principal at a middle school. And I said, you know, please do whatever best for you, but if you join Space Foundation, you can change the world. And she's decided to join Space Foundation because although being a middle school principal would have been wonderful, she wanted to join us to change the world. So as leaders, you set the tone, you invite the team, you create the mission, the objective. So don't forget the importance of leadership. And all of you, I want to thank all of you on the panel for being amazing leaders here as well, as you inspire students to change the world.
Any comment, any question, please? Dr. Rashid, I saw you saying that.
So I'll be happy to share one other thing. So you said about entrepreneurs. So many times people want to be entrepreneurs, but they what does it take? What do investors look for? How do you talk about your program or even yourself? Imagine yourself. You're your own CEO of your own company. I'm Shelley Brunswick, LLC, limited liability company. So how do you talk about yourself? So the first thing is, what is the challenge you see? What is the challenge out there? The problem, I shared many of them, sustainability, getting to net zero, living on Mars. So what is the challenge or the problem? And then what is the solution to that problem? So is it nuclear or solar? How do we solve that challenge to that problem? And the problem we'll say is net zero, so maybe nuclear or solar. And then if you're a business leader or you're selling yourself, you're interviewing with a company, why are you the best person to hire, or why is your company's solution the best solution? So what is the problem? What is the solution? And why is your solution better than anyone else's? And if you put your narrative together, whether you're talking about yourself to a future employer or getting into a special program at the university, or you're an entrepreneur, you can always think of that as the problem, the solution, and why is your solution better than anyone else?
Yeah, you are completely right. As I said to you earlier, if it were not for the vision for His Highness, we won't have this space here talking about it. So this is very, very important to see the next 10, the next 20 years, how we'd like to be. So you have the right leadership to support you in all aspects without any limits. That's the best way to advance space sciences and so on. The last question, please, if you have a last comment. Yes, please, Dr. Rashid. Dr. Rashid Saleh is one of our faculty member at the Department of Applied Physics and Astronomy.
So I would like just to ask a question to our students. So how do you design special programs? One. And the second one, you have new existing programs in terms of space application.
Absolutely. So how the Space Foundation operates, you have a workforce development roadmap. It has 5 steps, and it's awareness, access, training, connecting, and mentoring. So the first one, awareness, is panel discussions, although you're really aware. I would say what's happening at Expo Dubai with Space Week, this is Space Week, that's awareness. That's about bringing awareness that there's an opportunity for all citizens to be part of the space ecosystem. Then you have to have an access point. And so is that access point taking a program, coming to the planetarium? How do you access into the industry? Then you have to have training. So whether it's a PhD or a certificate, you have to have training in that space industry. The next parts are networking. How do you build a network? So obviously the Space Foundation is part of building your network, but there are organizations, Women Tech Network, Space Generation Advisory Council, to build that network. And the last one, which is many times the first one, is find a mentor. You can find a mentor. So we do have a workforce development roadmap, and all our programs follow it. How we partner is, think of yourself on a circle, and I have a chart of you're on the circle, it says Space Foundation. And the next circle out would be, who is the group you'd like to target? Is it teachers or entrepreneurs, students, K through 12, to do training, to get into the space industry? Then the next circle is, what is the outcome? How do you measure success? Because if you go into a program understanding what success is, you're more likely to meet it. So is it immersive experiences? Is it creating more entrepreneurship? Is it exciting kids into more STEM degrees? Then we look at what are the Space Foundation programs. And I have a QR code I can give you that highlights that. So we have programs that range from We have a facility in Colorado Springs similar to yours. It's called our Discovery Center, where it's open to the public and student field trips. We then have formal education, so that's K through 12, space studies that are immersed into the curriculum, we can teacher professional development. We even have an international art contest going on right now, Inspire Kids. And then our third component is the adult education. That's the entrepreneurial training. So that's designed to partner with universities to bring in space commerce curriculum and the leadership training, as well as workshops and incubators and accelerators. So you could actually help entrepreneurs who maybe have an idea and help them walk through how would they bring that idea to development or even get to a prototype. So we call that our CIE educational ecosystem, because it starts informal with kids coming into the facility similar to yours. You can then go through a formal education program, K through 12, or you can participate as an adult, and that creates a complete loop for our program. And we'll be happy to talk to you more about the type of programs we offer and how we partner with universities on those types of programs.
Last question for Ms. Shelley. As a woman, you have seen our female workforce, mashallah. So what do you advise them?
The sky is not the limit. There are no limits. So just keep going, and together we will all change the world. So I look forward to partnering with all of you and seeing all your great accomplishments.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the panelists for this note. So I would like to thank Ms. Shelley Brunswick for coming to us and give us this very enlightening lecture about her foundation and how we can improve ourselves. And space is not for just tourism, it's also for us to be used here on Earth. So this is very important. And I agree with her about Prince William's comments, or maybe they're out place, but this is the way it is. We have always people for, or we have always people against it. And I would also to thank Ms. Leila for the US consulate to help us to have Ms. Shelley here, and hopefully we'll continue on this for long years to come. So I thank the audience for attending. So thank you very much. I appreciate your coming. Now I believe Mr. Marwan is going to take the lead. So we have a special tour for Ms. Shelley for the planetarium, for the space exhibitions. And after it, I believe 1 hour after the show, we're going to have a nice lunch. So please, you are all invited in the cafeteria. So please, 12:30 to 1:30 for the lunch. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.